documentary that was done by the same person that's teaching these kids, the film course, called the Amante, which was the great fig tree. And so he saw it and he said, well, there is monkeys there, so when I go to Belize, and he came to Belize, he found the monkeys at the same exact spot, and that's when the research started. If you look right over there, his back is turned to me right now, but there's a vermilion flycatcher on this post. You see the fence post with the,
yes,
it looks like a tree, yeah. If it would turn around, you will see the bright red belly. It's called a vermilion flycatcher. But if you just step on the side here a bit, so if you look back, you see that these fence posts are starting to grow. If you look back there, at the center where you see that, well, you would think those are all trees, but those started off as a fence post also. That's one of the techniques that we use, especially with farmers, because when you clear a chunk of land to raise your cattle, there's gaps in the forest, and we try to maintain connectivity, and that's one of the methods that we use. We use growing posts that eventually turns into a tree and creates an aerial corridor for animals to move.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
See how bright that was?
Yeah, that was very
It has
bright.
a real bright, in the tropics, all brightly colored. If it's the plants are likely to be poisonous if they're brightly colored.
Huh?
Birds and animals, the males are the prettier ones,
Yes.
because they use their colors and stuff to attract females. You know, so the dull color ones will be the females. This one is clearly a male because of the bright belly. You saw him when he came down here.
Yeah. So all these people living in these homes have all dedicated to living as part of the conservatory?
Majority of them. So I'll get to that in a few now. So what happened is that when the guy came here, he found out that yes, there's a healthy population of black collar monkeys, but at the inception he was faced with a problem. All the lands were already privately owned lands. So how can you create a sanctuary where all the lands are privately owned? And so they played around with a couple theories and stuff, and then eventually they said, why not create a voluntary sanctuary? This would be the first of its kind in the world. And so they did. They approached the people, asked them if they would like to voluntarily pledge their land to the sanctuary, which would lead to the preservation of the black collar monkeys. And at the first approach to this, well, it started in this village. 12 people automatically signed up, and the sanctuary was born in 1985 on the 23rd of February. And in 1986, the sanctuary expanded. So in 1985, we started with 4 square miles. In 86, we expanded to a total of 20 square miles. Our population just around 1,200 black collar monkeys.
Now, do they have a benefit for?
Yeah, so the incentive, so we approached them and we asked them what they wanted to do, or what we expect them to do. But the incentive that we gave them, we said, if you create a sanctuary, tourists are going to come. If tourists comes, they're going to want a place to stay. We're going to need tour guides. We're going to need someone to do food, and we need canoes, we need cars, and so forth. So this is the incentive that we gave them, because the sanctuary now doesn't own anything beside the buildings and the equipment's in there. We don't even own a truck. So if we want to go and we're having a meeting, we have to rent someone's truck to get people together. So this is Mr. Lanza lives in the next village, which is called Scotland Half Moon. So this is how they benefit now. So I chartered him to go and pick you guys up. So he benefits directly. If you guys were having food, I would have to order it from a local caterer, and that's how so that's the incentive and how they benefit. Okay? If you look right down here for a second, guys, you're going to see these plants, but notice as I touch them, how they're going to close up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yeah.
They're called sensible mimosa, or mimosa pudica. Okay? What happened is that it's not flowering right now, but there's going to be a pink flower that normally sticks out. Okay? And sheep and goats eat this plant. And over a period of time with evolution, the plant developed this mechanism that this stem, for example this, so this is going to be a flower, right? See, that falls towards the ground, this falls down, the flower will stay sticking up. So when sheep bite it, they lose less leaf.
They just take
Okay,
the
they just take mainly the flower. So the plant has to reproduce less leaf than before, and so that's what they do. What happens is there's a valve here. The valve opens up and the water runs into the root, and it takes a couple minutes for the plant to pump back the water up into the leaf and reopen. So in a couple minutes they're going to be reopened. But also, guys, the only way to get to Belize City before where you guys just came from, before the road was built, was by canoe. You have to paddle downstream for about 3 days, and it could take you up to a week to paddle upstream back. Because by road it's only 26 miles, but by canoe it's about 44 miles, something like that. And so people would rely on the jungle to get what they needed. So if you had a toothache, the elderly people would come, get this plant with the root, you wash it off and you boil it. Hopefully it's the bottom jaw that's hurting, and you soak it for about 30 seconds, spit it out, repeat the process about 3 times. It's guaranteed to help with your toothache.
Wow.
85% of the top 100 drugs that's sold over the counter originate or has something from the rainforest that made it what it is. Okay, but yet we've only played with 1%, and at the rate that the rainforest is being destroyed around the world, we're never going to get to 3 or even 2%.
That's sad.
Yeah.
So in here somewhere is a cure for cancer.
They could definitely be. Okay, you guys know about the cashew, but you don't necessarily know about what we. Because when you guys think about cashew, you guys think about the nut.
Yes.
Right.
That's a cashew right there.
Ah.
When we think about cashew, when we talk about cashew here, we're talking about the fruit. Because we get more from the fruit than we do from the nut. It's the only fruit in the world that has the nut outside. The only fruit in the world. Okay? So if I would bite this, I would have the worst lip peel I've ever had. Okay?
Acid?
So imagine, yes, it has a acid in there. So for us to get to the nut that you guys actually eat, I have to take this, put it in the sun for a day, let it dry. Excuse me, guys. So I don't normally do tours, so I have to.
It's okay.
So I would have to put this in the sun for it to dry. I would have to get a pan, and I'm going to bore some small holes in it and make a fire. And I'm going to throw a bunch of these in there, and while I'm roasting it, I'm going to take a stick and stir it and stand about 10 feet away from it, because there's going to be some acid spinning off.
And that burns.
Exactly. If it lands on it, it's going to give you a real bad burn. After I've roasted, they're going to be completely black. I'm going to throw it out, let it cool, get a piece of stick, a small piece of stick about that long, and I'm going to break them one by one.
Oh.
Okay? But while I'm breaking it, I have to wear a glove or put some grease or lard on my hand. Because if I don't, it's going to peel the top layer off my finger. Okay? And so after I finish breaking them one by one, I have to then put it in the oven. I can't eat it yet because there's a thin layer that we call the skin that's on the kernel. And if I eat it, it's still going to peel my lips a bit. So I have to put it in the oven and bake it for about 20 minutes. So when that comes off, I have to break it off and then it's edible. Okay? There's a girl back there who has some freshly roasted cashew seed. There's no preservative added to it. Okay, so it's going to taste different from the ones you get in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But from the fruit now, you can only get one thing from the nut. It's the kernel. From the fruits, I can make wines, jellies, cakes, and the list goes on. You can make, so with the nut, 21 different substances you could get from it. Wow. Okay, and this is also one of the monkeys' favorite fruits, because the monkeys don't come to the ground to get water from the creeks or anything. They get water strictly from fruits and leaves. And so at some time of the year, these monkeys have access to some fruit that's going to give them majority of their water. So you can see right here the different stages. If you look right over your head, that's how it looks first. And then eventually the first thing to develop is going to be the nut. And then eventually the fruit grows.
Bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I'm just going to turn back this way. Yeah.
Huh.
Explains why they're so expensive.
Yeah.
And so that explains why they're so expensive. You can only get one nut per fruit.
And all the processing.
Yeah.
Do the monkeys not eat the nut? They know not to eat the nut?
Excuse me?
The monkeys know not to eat the nut?
Yes, for some reason they know. Because even the younger ones that are not used to it would not eat the nut.
Okay.
So it's something that it's a smell or something that it gives off that they know it's not edible.
See a bunch of them on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing too much.
Look at this nice sand.
White sand.
Mm-hmm.
Monkey poop.
Yeah, I think so. Because we still have a little bit of free range cattle out here.
Ah, free-range cattle.
That's one of them.
Is that termites?
Yes, this is the termite nest. Termites are
on the way in too. When we drive.
termites are responsible for about 75% of the recycling process, or they're the one that starts the recycling process. Is they cut up all the branches and leaves and stuff that falls on the ground. That starts the recycling process. But they're very rich in protein. If you're ever in the jungle and you haven't eaten in a couple of days, if you have the stomach, you could actually eat the termites because they're very rich in protein. So we like to joke about it, and if you look up top, he's not moving, he's sitting right there. But it's a gray-tailed squirrel. It's one of the two species of squirrel that we have. He's gonna sit right there on the limb, sir.
Too much.
I think if you come this way, you might see it a little.
No, no.
Over there?
Right up through here, sir.
Right above Dave, right above here.
Oh, there he is. I see the.
There he is.
Is he moving a bit?
Yeah.
I see him in the front.
Looking at you, then I don't see him.
Squirrel.
It's a squirrel?
Uh-huh.
Oh, right, Dave. Fuzzy thing.
That fuzzy
They usually
thing.
are. Yeah, but usually at home, if the tail's bigger, it means full winter. Well, maybe he's more like a cat where he's upset we're here. Maybe. Maybe making himself bigger.
You can hear all the birds calling. The animals are active early morning, late evening. So everything is going to be super active until about 10, and then they'll be very lazy up until about 3:30. So in the heat of the day, that's when everything is going to be quiet. Does anyone smoke cigarette?
No.
No? Okay. This vine here is another group right up here. So this is a very common house plant. It's called a split leaf philodendron. You can find it all over the world. But these are the aerial vines from these split leaf right here that we're seeing right here. This is a smaller one that's just starting out. The plant grows and eventually drops these main root down into the soil to get nutrients from the soil. It doesn't take away anything from the tree. It's just attached to the tree. So it's not a parasite. It's an epiphyte. Okay. But these here, they're strong enough. If I would take this size and I plant about 5 of these together, they're strong enough to pull a car. Okay. We also use these to do roofing, to tie the certain leaves I'm going to show you in a bit, to tie the roofs, and they last about 7 years before you have to change them. Okay. But these ones are still fairly green. If you find a dry one, and you would do that so you could get out the inner part, you could light it and it burns as an incense. That's what the Mayas used to use them for. Okay.
rabbits all over the ground.
Yeah, that's a. If I told you it was a rabbit, then you wouldn't believe me. But it's actually a bush rabbit, but it's more like a rat. It's a rodent, okay?
I like the word rabbit better.
Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't look anything like a rabbit. You might get to see in some part over here.
Spark, look at those palms.
These
Oh,
are 10 palms I'm gonna
Goodness.
tell you about right now. These palms
Look at
are
these.
called cahoon palm trees. They're locally known of a tree of 1,001 use. And that's no kidding. That's just some of the. I'm just gonna list a couple of things you can use them for. I told you about the tree just now that we use to do roofing. These are the leaves that we use. These leaves are the longest leaf in the rainforest. They can get up to 40 feet long. Okay, and we take one leaf and we split it down the middle, and we get 2 leaves, and that's what we would do to do the patching of the house.
And what's this? This group looks like a group of nuts or something?
Yes, sir. It's a group of nuts. Those are called the cahoon nuts. And from the cahoon nuts, we make a one. You could use the shells as coal. You could use it as firewood if you want. Also, you could use it to make small souvenirs. But the main use for this nut is it's used to make a cooking oil. Okay, and the cooking oil can be used as a tanning lotion and also as a hair treatment. Okay, the stem or the stalk that those nuts are attached to, we used to make something like a broom that we call the fly swatter that we use to keep away bugs. And there's a couple back at the center I can show you when we get back. Okay. If you want, so you could cut this tree down, and I could extract a 4 feet heart of palm, and that converts into about $125 billion a plate, just for a plate of it. Palm heart, okay?
Palm heart. To eat.
To eat, yes,
To
ma'am.
eat. Oh. And
So
it
there you
tastes
can have a good
like.
look at the stack that's holding the nut.
Oh, that's a gorgeous tree. Look at that.
Yeah.
And you can cut a hole in the tree and you won't kill it, and you could throw some sugar in there, and you can extract a little bit of wine that develops, okay? Yeah, these monkeys are not, as you guys can see, they're not in a cage, they're out in the jungle. We have about 4 acres of land that these monkeys call their homes, and they roam around on that piece of property.
So these are the cahoon nuts.
Yes, ma'am. These are the cahoon nuts. Okay. So there used to be some animal, a couple hundreds or even 1,000 years ago, that used to break these, but they're not around anymore, and nobody really knows what the animal was. If it was a slop, because we know that we used to have slops in Belize, but they're no longer here. But we're not sure what the animal is. So these. Only human makes use of them, or make 80% use of them. Okay? The bush rabbit, or the parka, that I told you about that was the problem there, does this to it. It tears off this outer layer and gets stung to death, but it doesn't have a strong enough teeth to get into it to get the actual kernel. Okay? So it tears this off, and between the shell and this nut, between the outer shell and the inner shell, there's about a couple centimeters of just white substance that they peel this off to get to. Okay? And you can see they're very hard. Okay?
And do they have to go into the center to get the oil?
Yeah, so
There's a nut in the center?
we have to break this open.
Yeah.
We have to get a maul and we break it, take it out, and then we have to beat on the, it's like a miniature coconut but much more chewier. Okay, so you could either beat it, or you could get a grater and grate it, and then you boil it. So there's different ways to extract the oil.
Amazing trees. What is that sound? It's legs, obviously.
It's like a locust.
Like, it's legs rubbing? Like at home we have crickets and locusts that do
Okay.
that.
Oh yeah, that's
I just saw something go up the tree over here.
excuse me?
Just saw something go up the tree with a long tail.
Okay, that's a dog there.
Their tail is about this long.
Okay, yeah, squirrel.
A what?
Squirrel?
Squirrel, yeah. That's the only one. That's the only other thing that has. We have a couple animals that have long tails, but we don't normally see all that. This is squirrel. He's all the way up top.
Oh, okay. I just saw the movement.
Yeah. Guys, the tropics has some of the poorest soils in the world, and so hence why you go to any jungle and you follow a path. If it hasn't been resurfaced, you'll always see a lot of roots. So all the trees puts their root out horizontally. So that's why after a couple months or a year or so of walking on that same path, the roots get exposed. So we only have about 6 to 8 inches of soil that's really fertile soil, and that's where the all the roots run horizontally. Okay. Okay, guys, these are going to be the. Do you have a smaller lens, sir?
I do.
Okay, because this is going to be the closest you'll ever get to see these monkeys. Okay. Good eyes. You see them right in there?
Oh, yeah.
And they'll come right down and take this cashew from
Hold
you.
on a second.
So I'll.
I did swamp this out. Okay.
Come boy, come. Come, baby. Come boy. Come. Here boy. Here boy, come on. Come baby. Come baby.
Oh my God.
Okay guys, these monkeys are not tame in any way. These monkeys are just used to seeing people for the past 25 years, okay? So these monkeys have a sense that they are protected. Even though they come this close, we don't touch them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are free to take as much pictures as you want. Then if you come right here, you will see the baby. The baby is only about 6 months old. See the tiny baby back there? And if you look at the way they use...
Is this mom?
Mom is going to be... I think that's dad. Mom will be over here. If you look at the way they use their tail, it's called a prehensile tail. It's like a fifth limb for them. For that reason, these monkeys don't build nests or anything. They just find a nice branch, wrap their tail around it, and they won't go to sleep.
There's a big one right there.
Ah, baby.
That's probably Daddy.
Huh?
He's eating.
Ah, baby.
Look at this one.
Ah, baby.
Oh,
Just watch it because remember, the juice from the cashew, sir, it stains, okay? So, and he's gonna go right over your head and eat the cashew. No, sir, he's over here. You see him right here? Real tiny.
Just be careful going under here because it's eating the cashew.
Yeah.
It's ripping.
here's a baby.
I'm baby. Come, baby.
Oh, baby.
So these monkeys, for us who works with this, because we work with this family a lot,
Okay.
they know our voices and they kind of know that, okay, that's not a stranger, this person, but he's not going to hurt us. Because there's no way in the wild you could get to monkeys this close if they don't feel protected. Oh, this way.
You don't want to stand under there.
Yeah, this one is, remember, he's eating the cashews. Okay guys, females turn mature at 3 to 5 years old. Males turn mature at 5 to 7 years old. At that time, they'll both leave the family to prevent interbreeding, okay?
Oh, look at the baby over here, Daddy. Look. Chuck, you've got to come over here, quick. Well, slow but quick. Look at that. There's one up there. Look at this one over here. Oh, the baby. Oh my God. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. You are too precious. Oh, look at you showing off. Is that mommy over there? Is that why you're going over there?
So this is, like I said, it's already about